Let's get started with the housekeeping and legal disclaimer. I'm going to leave this up for just a minute to allow you to read that before we proceed on with the presentation. Next, if you have any questions related to this webinar, you can use the chat feature in the GoToWebinar, and one of the consultants that we have on the call with us will answer you. Any other questions can be directed to our direct support at 1-800-342-2599. I'll be your presenter today. My name is Allie Whitaker, and I'm the Professional Services Training Team Lead here at Calix. Today we're going to be covering custom forms. We're going to walk through how you can create a custom form, how you can import an existing Word document into a custom form, how you can then customize that with your logo, how to find the field IDs if you need those for your custom form, how you can add an electronic signature, so if you are sending out e-signatures, you can add that to a custom form, and finally, adding custom forms to your print group. I'm going to go ahead and open Point so we can get started. In Point, to be able to create a custom form, we're going to need to go to the Template section on the navigation panel, which is on the left. So it's at the very bottom in orange. We're going to click on that. And then underneath the templates, you have the template categories. You're going to want to select the bottommost option, the custom forms, letters, and emails. In here, you can see we have several samples that you can look at for custom forms. We're going to start with the buttons up at the top right. The first way that you can add in a new custom form is to click that New button. Once you do that, you're going to have to name your custom form. We're going to name ours Example 1. A Word document will open, and this works just as Word does, but has the Point Custom Forms box in that top left. This is what's going to allow us to map data from our files into the form. So for this, you could click inside the document and start typing, or copy and paste from another Word document that you have into this document. I'm going to go ahead and close this one down and show you the other way that you can get a document into the system. Another way is to import your document. That button is in the top right. To do that, your document does have to be in a Word format. So if you have it in PDF, you will need to get that converted. I'm going to open up a Word document for our example today. It's a pre-qual letter. Some loan originators would have a pre-made pre-qual letter and would have to open it up each time and update it for each borrower. Now you can use the custom form to have the file automatically update the letter for you and be able to send that out. Like I said, the first step is it needs to be in a Word document. So if it is PDF, go ahead and get that converted over to a Word document. The second part is it needs to be in the .doc version, not the newer docx. So let me show you the second step. You're going to go up to your file, your saving. I'm going to put mine on the desktop. And underneath the file name, you see the Save As type. I'm going to click that. And inside of here, we need to pick the Word 97 to 2003. This will change it over to the .doc format, which will import for us into Point. If you use the .docx version, it will allow you to import that custom form inside of Point, but after a while it will become corrupted and you will not be able to use it anymore. I'm going to close this down and go back into Point where we can import this in and start working on it. So again, we're going to click the Import at the top right, and you're going to see this notice. This is telling you that if you have any fields that contain a mail merge field, after you import your document, those are no longer going to be active. So go ahead and click Yes, and this allows you to find your file. One thing here is you do want to make sure that you're importing the correct Word version of the document. So beside the file name in the lower right, you'll see Word document.docx. That is the newer version. We saved it as the .doc. So what I want to do is make sure that I change that dropdown so I can see that 97 to 2003 documents and import the correct one. Your document now appears in the list. We're going to highlight and double click that so it'll open and we can edit it. It's opened our custom form in Word. So again, anything that you can do in Word, you can do inside of this custom form. First thing that we're going to walk through is adding your logo or a header with your logo to your form. This is just a Word function. I'm going to go to the top. You can either click at the top left and put your image here, or you can go to the almost top line and double click. This will allow you to put it into a header. That's what I'm going to do for my letterhead here. Once I've got my selected area, I'm going to go up to the top left and insert your picture option, and I'm going to select pictures. This will open up your directory and allow you to select where your image is. I've got my logo here, so I'm going to select that and insert. It is quite large, so I'm going to scale that down. Again, you can use that with the arrows. And click outside of the header area to then get back into the letter itself. Now this will be my letterhead image on this custom form. Second thing we want to go to is the next line, which is the date field. Rather than having you update it each time that you want to send out a pre-qual letter, you can have Word do that for you. I'm going to go ahead and delete my date here, and we're going to go up to the Insert menu bar and over to the far right where it says Date and Time. This gives us the available formats that we can have inside of the custom form. I'm going to pick that third option, and you do want to make sure that the lower right checkbox that says Update Automatically is checked. That's what makes it the current date when you're sending out the custom form. Next, we're going to work through adding in your fields from your file. You will need to have the calyx box. If you don't see it on your screen currently, you can either minimize Word and see that in your bar below and look for an orange house. This box is going to allow us to enter in fields that are inside of a point file and have that data automatically flow into the form for us. We're going to start with the customer. So I'm going to remove this customer's name, bring my box up, and we're going to select the drop-down and find what we want to enter into our letter. I'm going to want to enter the borrower's first name, so I'm going to highlight that. And I do need to click the Insert button that is to the right of that field to actually insert that field into the custom form. Once that field is entered, you'll see that it is surrounded by those double carets. That means that it is mapping the information from your file into the custom form, and you don't want to edit that. Since we are in Word, you do want to remember that you're going to need to put spaces, commas, periods, and signs if you want them to appear inside of your letter. I'm going to push space, and we're going to do the same process and select the borrower's last name and insert. So now my letter has the borrower's first and last name. If you have a co-borrower on the file, you have two options that you can do. The first one is that you can go to the next line, space over, and then enter in your co-borrower first and last name like you did for the borrower. Remembering to push that space bar, last name, insert. You can do that format, or if you prefer them to be on one line, you can enter a rule inside of Word that will insert "and" between the borrower's and the co-borrower's name if there is a co-borrower present. Let's walk through that process real fast. I'm going to move the co-borrower's name onto the same line as my borrower and go up to the Mailing tab at the top. Inside here, we're going to go to Rules and select If Then Else. This allows us to put a condition on the line, and it will then add the word "and" or "not," depending on if we have a certain field inside of the document or not. For the field name, we're going to select the 150. We'll walk through after this how you can find those field IDs, but 150 right now for this example, co-borrower's first name field ID. In the comparison dropdown, we're going to select "is not blank" from this. And then below we have the "insert this text." I'm going to type in "and" leave the "otherwise insert this text" blank since we do have a space. I'm going to click OK here. Make sure you do have a space before and after your "and" so that it would read properly. You could always catch it on a preview of your custom form. Let's go through entering the other mapped fields from our Point Custom Form box. I'm going to put my cursor with the purchase price, delete this information, and we're going to go back over to our Point Custom Form box, our drop-down, and locate the purchase price for us in this list. So purchase price, we have sales price here. It's not the same wording, but it is the same thing inside of Point. Select that and click Insert. You will notice to the left of the purchase price I did put a $sign. Point fields do not contain dollar signs or percentages like the interest rate has. So if you do want to see that on your letter, you will need to enter that into the letter itself. Next is our loan amount. Delete that. Go to our custom form drop-down and look for loan amount. That is 2 below in this list. I'm going to click Insert here. And below that is our interest rate. I'm going to click back on our drop-down, and you'll see this is note rate. Again, a different term, but it is the same field inside of Point. If you couldn't find these fields, we'll show you in just a moment how you can add in a field number to make sure you're getting the right data from inside of a file. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom here where we've got our signature line. If you have just one LO who's going to be using this pre-qualification letter, you can customize it all here and put that LO's information in, or even a signature image in here. If there's more than one LO using it, you may want to have the LO's name and NMLS license number map over from the file itself. I'm going to show you how you can enter in again another image. So if you wanted to put in a signature look to make it more custom, again you would just click in the spot you want to put the image, go up to the top, Insert, select your picture and Pictures again, and then locate the file that you want to add into your custom form. My signature came in. Again, it is quite large, so I'm going to scale that down. And now it looks like that we have a signature on the letter. Now, in the case that you did have more LOs than one using this, that would not necessarily be an option if you wanted to have one pre-qual letter for everyone to use. If you did want everybody to have their own and have their own signature, you could then copy this document and then go in and replace the signature line and their NMLS information, and then each LO would have their own individual customized pre-qual letter. We're going to say that you do want to use the same pre-qual letter for all of your LOs. So I'm going to take out that signature line and show you how we can then map the data for your LO's information to show on the bottom of the letter. I'm going to remove my LO's name here. Put my cursor back where I want the information and get my custom forms box. I'm going to be looking for my loan originator. And inside the list here, we have loan representative. So I'm going to use that and click Insert. And then below, we have the NMLS ID. I'm going to delete that one and go over to our list. It does look like we have the representative's phone number, but I do not see any other information in here that is the LO's NMLS ID. So this brings us to where can you find the field IDs that you may need for your custom forms. If you can't find them, I recommend going ahead and saving your custom form, because we're going to get out of your custom form and go into the utilities area to load a full file with the full IDs. So I'm going to close this while we go back into our loans area. That's at the top left with your navigation panel. And then up to utilities, and down near the bottom, the load field ID and borrower. This is going to load a blank file that has all of your field IDs listed inside there. You then just go to the page where you want the field ID and note that to bring it back into your custom form. So I'm wanting the LO's NMLS ID. So I do know that that is on our loan application section 9, the last page there. You can see in the top left area, the NMLS field is 13618. So you can take a screenshot, write it down. That's the number that you need for the information to pull over into our letter. I'm going to go ahead and close this file down and then go back into our template. Opening back up our custom form. And I'm going to scroll back down to our signature area. So there is our NMLS number and it's blank. So I'm going to put my cursor there. Then we're going to go up again to our drop down for our custom form list and scroll all the way down to the bottom. The last one here is other fields not listed above. So we're going to select that. This is going to give you the opportunity to enter that field ID. So we're going to click Insert. It's going to bring up an area for us to type in that field ID that we found inside of that empty file. We're going to enter our field ID that we found and click Insert. That's going to pull that information into our form for us. I'm going to go ahead and save and close this. And up at the top right, those buttons, we do have a preview button. So if you don't have to get back into a file to see what this letter would look like, you can click on the preview. It is going to tell you that it is using sample data. So click OK. And it'll bring up the letter for you. You can see we've got our company logo in the top. Our borrower and co-borrower has an and in the middle there. We do have our loan information in the middle. And down at the bottom, we've got our LO and then our NMLS ID. This one you can see is not pulling over. They don't have any sample data for this. So if you did want to make sure that it is printing, you go into a file and make sure that it is pulling the data over there. Let's say that your document that you have created here is a disclosure that you need to have the borrower sign. Right now, our custom form is not going to work with our e-signature program, but we do have a way to add it to that system. Up in those top menu buttons again, we do have an e-signed signature block. Make sure your document is highlighted and then you click on the e-signature block button. Your document will open and give you several drop downs at the top. The first one is so you can select the signature type, meaning full signature, or if you just want initials. Second drop down is who you want to sign. Do you want the borrower, the co-borrower, or the loan originator? And you can put multiple on a single document. I'm going to select the borrower, and then the button off to the right is the actual button that will create that signature line. I recommend going to the part of the document that you want the signature to appear first before clicking on the icon to produce the signature line. And then you can move this box around and resize if necessary. I'm going to go back up to the top and change to a co-borrower so that if I did have a co-borrower on a file, I'd also have the ability to have them sign. Move it into a spot. Now I've got a borrower and co-borrower signature lines. Go in the top right and use the save icon, and then the orange X to close out. Now your document is able to be used inside of eSignature in Point. Last thing we've got to cover is adding your custom form into a print group to make sure it goes out with your packages. I'm going to go to the loan section in our navigation panel. That's the top left. And to work on print groups, you just need to have a file open. It can be a blank one or a file you're currently working on. I'm going to go with a blank file. And then go to your printer icon that's in the top left, or you can go up to File and Print. You now have these tabs that are on the left with the borrower's forms. The topmost tab of that is our print groups. I'm going to select our print group here, and on the bottom now we have 3 new buttons: Create a Group, Edit, or Delete. If you already have a print group set up, you can highlight that and click Edit. Or if you need to just create a new one, you can click on the Create New Group. This will allow you to put this document into a group. I'm going to call this one my prequal. To get the custom form into your print group, you will need to, on the left, select your Custom Forms tab, and then locate it inside of the list below. Once you've highlighted it, it will populate over on the right, and then you can move those up or down in an order if you choose to do that. And then click OK. You should now see your print group listed there. Thank you for attending today's webinar. We hope you received some helpful information today. If we did not get to your question during this webinar, we will reach out to you shortly with that reply. At the end of this session, you will receive a 5-question survey, and we would appreciate you completing that so we can improve our training program and follow up with you if you so choose. To further assist you, a recording of the webinar will be available through the Calix customer portal very soon. Have a great rest of your day.